I think we're ready to start, Paul. Why don't I take it over to the presentation, and you guys see Paul's website here, www.2secondlean.com. He's got all this information on his website. You can download videos, and you got it all free. Paul, I don't even want to introduce you. It's an embarrassment.
No problem.
I'll tell you the story, though. Let me tell you the story.
Okay.
I'm coaching this very challenging student in Belgium. His name is Peter de Porter. And he's challenging because he coaches me as much as I coach him. And one day he says, George, you got to look at this Paul guy. He didn't know you were Greek, Paul. He's doing a great job of teaching culture. This is what we need here at KBC. And I looked you up, and then I saw one of your lean kitchens. And I saw the video where you're wiping things down, and you said something like, but you need Windex. You need Windex because I'm half Greek. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to call Paul up. And so I called Paul up, and here we are doing our first webinar together. Peter de Porter, thank you very much from Belgium. And Paul, I'm just happy to work with you, and I'm sure this is going to go great. And I'm your right-hand man. You say next, and I go.
I'm ready to go. All right, so let's get going. So first of all, I'm humbled to be on the Akers Institute because I know the powerful people and influential people in the lean community with the Akers Institute, and I feel like a nobody in regards to that. But to set the context, I don't pretend to be a lean expert. I am maybe an expert in my brand of lean and the kind of brand that FastCap has developed over the years, and that's it. And it's a very simple lean. When people come to our facility, and they come indeed from all over the world, we had people from Nepal, we had people from Germany yesterday, we had people from Pennsylvania, Canada. We have people here all the time. I always tell them this. On a scale of 1 to 100, Toyota is a 99. I've been in many plants all over the world that Toyota produces cars in. I'm completely in awe and mystified. I don't look at their flaws. I look at their accomplishments, which are staggering. Their influence, particularly around the world, and how they've changed literally people's lives around the world with the concept of continuous improvement. But I tell people, Toyota's a 99. FastCap is a 3. We are so far below Toyota, it's unbelievable. So I don't want to come off as though we know it all or we've done it all. We're an absolute joke. Now, we've got some really cool things going on, but lean is a journey, this lifelong thing, and every day we get a little bit better, and every year we get a little bit better, and we're excited to be a 4 soon, and then a 6, and then an 8, and maybe when I'm 95 years old, we might be a 30. Who knows? But that's the way I view our position in the lean community. We're just little infants learning, and we're having a ball doing it. So welcome to 2 Second Lean. This is my team. There's about 40, 50 of us, and we're in 40 countries, 2,700 distributors around the world, and we make woodworking tools, and I'll get into that in just a minute. None of this is about promoting FastCap. We have all the business we could possibly keep up with. We scramble every day just to get the orders out. But these people every day make a 2-second improvement. They make one small incremental improvement every day for 7 years, and they've never missed. My goal today for this talk is I'd love you guys to interact and ask me all the questions and stop me anywhere you want, but I really just have one goal, and here it is. To see waste like you've never seen it before, because what I've determined after doing lean for 14 years, lean is just basically about seeing waste. And once you see waste, you see the opportunity to improve it and make everything in your life, both personal and professionally, better. Waste is the magic wand. It's the holy grail to be able to see it on a regular basis. So really, at the end of this talk, an hour from now, if you see waste maybe differently than you've ever seen it before, we win. Everything's done. It's that simple. I don't want you to memorize a long list of things or 10 bullet points. Just see waste different than you've ever seen it before. Go ahead, George. Next. So when you do it, and you can play the video here, George. That's a Tesla coil, and that's a Faraday cage, and I was actually inside of that, not in that actual video shop, but I got in it right after I did that. And it was just a surreal experience to have that level of electricity being thrust upon you and have no negative effect. But the bottom line is I show that slide or that video because waste should electrify you. When you see waste, it should be like, wow, just like when I saw that happen for the first time. I've never seen a Tesla coil go off. I was like, oh, my gosh, that's incredible, right? That's the way waste should be to you. When you see it, you should say, wow, that's incredible. Not because you like waste, because it's the opportunity to improve. It's the vehicle, it's the gateway, it's the door to improvement.
Well, hello everyone. It's time to take a tour of FastCap. FastCap is located in Bellingham, Washington, just about 2 hours north of Seattle, up in a little tiny town called Ferndale, right on I-5. It's a beautiful place. We have about a 50,000 square foot facility. It's just really, really cool place to work. About 110 windows, lots of natural light everywhere coming in. We're going to take you inside.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, we get that question all the time. A lot of CEOs, daughters, and sons that come to work here and do internships. And, you know, we do that. We get so many requests every day. It's almost staggering. We can't do them all. But for George, because he's a Greek, you know, we make special arrangements and we do these kinds of things. But the bottom line is people always want to know, what is FastCap? Where is FastCap? Well, we're up in Bellingham, Washington, where it rains all the time. And we just have a lot of fun, and it's a beautiful environment, and even the work facility is beautiful. Not only is the natural surrounding beautiful, i.e. Washington State, but our facility is beautiful, and we built our facility around our people. The number one criteria for the facility was, how do we make the most amazing place for people to work, where they enjoy and they feel positive about the work environment? Because in our mind, work should be easy, it should be fun, there should be no struggle. Anytime there's a struggle, we eliminate it. Natural light, 110 windows, all LED, no light switches, all polished concrete floors. If you saw the tour that happened before this conference, you saw the inside and the way we have everything arranged. It's a pretty cool place. When I walk in the door, it instantly puts a smile on my face. So it's a fun place. So I like to illustrate to people what lean looks like. And I illustrate it by contrasting a tire change. If you were to take a bad tire change, or as I ask people, how long would it take you to change the tire on their car? Most people say, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 30 minutes to get the crap out of the back of my trunk, and another 15 minutes to change it. Another person says, an hour, a half hour for AAA to get there, and then another half hour to change the tire and sign the paperwork and get on my way. I mean, this is typical. And the reason why tires take so long to change is because the process generally is not very good. The manufacturer hasn't really laid it out, made it strong visual controls, and they make things difficult. But when you make a process magical, it just happens fluidly, and you have flow. So I'm going to illustrate a non-lean tire change where the customer suffers and one where the customer wins.
Okay, that's hilarious.
When I travel around and visit other companies, and really when I don't even travel around, when I just engage other vendors and other people that I do business with, most of the processes are clunky, and I'm suffering as the customer. And at FastCap, our goal is to make the customer's experience outrageous. We measure the success of our company not by whether or not people say, hey, FastCap's a good company. That's a loser. We lose if they say FastCap's a good company. What we want people to say is FastCap is an outrageous company, unbelievable, never dealt with a company like that in my whole life, because we care so much about getting the customer exactly what they want, exactly when they want it. For instance, when you order something from FastCap, 700 products, 2 hours from the time you order to the time we manufacture it, package it, and ship it all day long. We've been doing this year after year. It's really astounding, that level of fluidity. And now I'm going to show you what that looks like. This is the world I live in, operational excellence because of lean.
In the pit lane, out of everybody. This is Fernando Alonso's stop. It was actually the fastest single stop. And look at the guys. They look so relaxed, but there he goes. All four wheels changed and out in 3.3 seconds. And that was in the pit lane, out of everybody. This is Fernando Alonso's stop. It was actually the fastest single stop. And look at the guys. They look so relaxed, but there he goes. All four wheels changed and out in 3.3 seconds.
Yeah, they've taken a second off of that time with half the people. That's how good it's got. It's really astounding. And in my mind, this is what lean should produce. Lean should produce fluidity and operational excellence. Now, does that mean that we're perfect? Does that mean we don't fall down with our customers? Sure we do. We fall down all the time. But the vast majority, the preponderance of all the operations that we do look like this. We don't struggle because we spend so much time perfecting it. And people go, well, sure, Paul, 17 guys, 3 seconds. Well, 17 guys, 3 seconds, it took them a minute, or 2 guys and an hour's worth of rework, and they lost the race. You tell me what you'd rather have. And on top of that, those 17 guys are doing other value-added activity, preparing for the next pit stop. So, I don't get too worried about the fact there's 17 guys in there, because I know a team like that is probably using the remainder of the time very efficiently as well if they figured out how to do it at that level. So I love that example of showing really what work should look like. It should be fun. It should be easy. There should be no stress. And if there is, that's the opportunity to improve. So the ground rules for this talk is very simple, because I'm a simple guy, is, go ahead, George. Lean is simple and lean is fun. That's the basic premise of what I'm trying to get across. I did complicated lean for the first 5 years of my lean journey, and I could never get it to stick. I could never build the culture. And then I figured out how to make it really simple, and we're going to talk about how we did that and how to make it fun. When you get the emotional engagement of people and make things fun, everything changes. And I like to live in a fun world. I'm a fun guy. I think I am. I'm a Greek at the very least, so I'm at least a little bit crazy. And I think if we can make lean fun and simple, I think some incredible things could happen. So let's go to the next one. And to illustrate the concept of simplicity, I'm going to show you a couple slides here. So there was a professional study done, I believe it was by Harvard. They spent $5 million of our tax money and 5 years to figure out why students learn. They want to know, what is it about why some students learn and other students don't learn? And it turned out it was actually so simple, it was unbelievable, but we had to spend $5 million in 5 years to figure out these basic premises. So the answer is show up to class. So the people that show up to class are much more likely to get an A and do well in life. But if you don't show up, nothing's going to happen. And the second thing is even more astounding. Here you go, sit in the front row. So when I speak in front of people, I got 500 people in the audience, I immediately know who the A students are. They're the ones in the front row, and the F students are the ones that are standing in the back leaning against the wall. They're not really wanting to be there. They're there, but they're not really there. And so we found out that these two simple components can make life and education much more effective. I found there are a few components that really make lean effective. Number one is you got to know the 8 ways. You have to live and breathe the 8 ways. And number two, this is going to be kind of funny, we make videos, and we're going to show you how we do that. We make videos illustrating all the waste that we find and how we eliminate it. You do these few simple things, and all of a sudden you get all the energy, all the emotional buy-in, and all the things that we all want from lean, and that is building a powerful culture that is self-sustaining. So I like to illustrate, again, how people like to complicate things. This is what I notice everywhere I go. They want to get charts and manuals and books and graphs and everything else. So I'm going to illustrate it through an airline ticket. All of us fly, I think, and this is a Delta airline ticket. Now, this is one I received not that long ago, and I looked at that, and as a lean thinker, I said, oh, my gosh, what gate am I supposed to be? What zone am I in? What time do I leave? What time's the boarding? And it was just a big jumbled mess to me, and I said, how could a billion-dollar company produce this garbage? Think about that. $1 billion company. This is garbage, right? So I went to my graphic design team, my daughter, who's 20 years old, and my other graphic designer, who's 25, who's been well-trained in lean, and I said, can you make a lean airline ticket? And I said, this is the non-lean one. Can you do that for me? And guess what they did? In 10 minutes, we're not a $1 billion company. They're not highly educated, although they're educated. They produced this ticket. Now, you tell me what you think the difference is. Now, look at that. That is astounding. $1 billion company continues to put out the former ticket, and then in 10 minutes, a lean company, because we understand visual control, we understand the idea of making things simple, removing complexity, and making it easy for the customer so there's no struggle. I know where I'm going because I have a visual map. Seattle to New York. I know where the gate is because there's a gate there that tells me where to look to find the gate information. I know what time I'm boarding because it shows me boarding the plane. I know what seat I'm in. I'm not stressed out about, am I in the middle? Am I in the window? Am I in the front of the plane, the back of the plane, by the bathroom? I know everything because there's actually a visual map. Think about the time it would save just loading the plane.
I would fly Delta anytime.
I know. So would I. So would I. And then, of course, it shows you what time you're taking off because the plane is lifting off. The ambiguity is removed. The struggle is removed. The fun is introduced. And this is the lean world that we live in. And this ticket represents our company. This is the way we look at everything. We can't do anything complicated because we reject it at face value. We will not do it because our goal is to get everyone to buy in, not to have silos of information. And that is the way most companies are run. At least that's what I see. I had a great lean consultant the other day in my plant for that tour. And he said, most organizations, there's a guy who you have to kiss his finger. He's like the Pope. You have to kiss his finger to get something done because he has all the information. But in FastCap, we disseminate all the information to make it easy for everyone to get to.
This is complete anarchy. Okay, let's take questions. I'm excited about this. Go ahead, guys. Anybody, take yourself off mute.
George, I don't have a question, but Norman is an attendee. You might want to promote him.
Oh, Norm Bodek. I love Norm.
I didn't quite hear that, Steve.
Yeah, I got Norm Bodek as an attendee. He's going to join us.
Right.
We love Norm, and he loves us, and he loves you.
I've heard lots of good things about Norm. I haven't met Norm yet, though.
Well, let's say hello to Norm. Norm, put yourself on video. Let me give you video, Norm. This is just a wonderful pleasure. And why don't I give you a few minutes, Norm? Is that okay, Paul?
Absolutely. You kidding? You can have the whole rest of the conference.
No. It's this is yours, but I do want Norm to say hello. Norm, if you want to turn your video on, I'm giving it to you right away. You have it now. And I'm going to change this application. Okay, Norm, say hello.
Go ahead. Thank you very much, Paul. And just looking at that airline boarding pass is just wonderful.
Thank you. From you, that's unbelievable hearing that from you. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. A privilege. I'm glad I popped in today.
Thank you. We're glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you. I've had an amazing journey these last few years, and I'm so pleased that I had a little influence in this that you're doing.
Wow.
In fact, I just thought, the big talent that I have is to just recognize the talent in others. I just attract it. That's why I'm here this morning looking at this very talented man that's offering to. And why are you doing this? You're not a consultant, are you?
Yeah, no, I'm not. And I do it because I'm so thankful for what Toyota has taught the world and people like you and Jeffrey Liker have taught the world, because my business was very successful. I didn't have a burning platform, but I went to a whole nother level when I learned lean, and I am so grateful that I got to learn this, that I pass it on to everybody else, and our whole company gets tremendous joy from teaching and helping other people.
This is wonderful. The only thing I think of, I'm going to Japan in October. Maybe you should join us.
Oh, Norm, anytime, any place.
We're going on a study mission in Japan. I've done this for so many years. That's how I found all the geniuses in Japan. And, of course, my latest thing is, and I'm sure you're doing it, my latest thing is on the people side. I mean, you're doing things that people could have fun at work. And that's my focal point. Can we make work a joyous experience? And it really doesn't matter what people do, as long as they have an opportunity to grow on the job.
I couldn't have said it better. I agree 1,000% with that. That's what it's all about, period.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Norm. Thank you,
Norman.
What an honor.
Okay, go ahead. Anybody else have questions, and then we'll move on. Last questions.
This is Paul Everett.
Hi, Paul.
Hi. This is not a question. This is to Norm Bodek, and I want to acknowledge him for something. I first met him at a conference in New York, and he was standing up in front of this room with perhaps 1,500 people in it or so, and I heard him say, "The energy isn't right," and he stopped. And this is like 1984 or so, 85. And he stopped, And this guy alongside of me said, "What the hell's he doing?" And I said, "He's getting centered. Let's just wait." And after he felt that the room was right, he began the conference. And Norm is such a discoverer because he went to Australia and discovered the Technology Transfer Council of Australia, who had correctly decoded the Toyota production system in Western terms. And the company I worked for at that time, we brought the Technology Transfer Council to Australia, from Australia to Shelton, Washington, and had the first training in what they call value-added management, which has morphed into lean. So Norm has had an incredible, incredible impact on not only Paul Akers, but Paul Everett and everybody else in the United States who finally understands what the Toyota production system is all about.
Yep, and that's
Thank
people.
you, Paul. Thank you, Paul.
That's very cool.
Norm, if you want to take yourself off mute, you go ahead. I'm just going to continue. And Paul, any other questions? Or do you want to move on?
No questions for me. I'm ready to go.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, next slide. So one of my favorite heroes, and I get a little pushback when I do this, is Steve Jobs. I know he wasn't probably the nicest guy to work for, but you really get inside his head and what he was trying to do, it's magical. He has systematically changed the world. And he changed the world because really he's an amazing lean thinker. Now, I want you to watch this quick video because it is awesome the way Steve Jobs thinks.
Now, why do we need a revolutionary user interface? I mean, here's 4 smartphones, right? Motorola Q, the BlackBerry, Palm Treo, Nokia E62, the usual suspects. And what's wrong with their user interfaces? Well, the problem with them is really sort of in the bottom 40 there. It's this stuff right here. They all have these keyboards that are there whether you need them or not to be there. And they all have these control buttons that are fixed in plastic and are the same for every application. Well, every application wants a slightly different user interface, a slightly optimized set of buttons just for it. And what happens if you think of a great idea 6 months from now? You can't run around and add a button to these things. They're already shipped. So what do? It doesn't work because the buttons and the controls can't change. They can't change for each application, and they can't change down the road if you think of another great idea you want to add to this product. Well, how do you solve this? It turns out we have solved it. We solved it in computers 20 years ago. We solved it with a bitmap screen that could display anything we want, put any user interface up, and a pointing device. We solved it with the mouse, right? We solved this problem. So how are we going to take this to a mobile device? Well, what we're going to do is get rid of all these buttons and just make a giant screen. A giant screen. Now, how are we going to communicate this? We don't want to carry around a mouse, right? So what are we going to do? Oh, a stylus, right? We're going to use a stylus. No. No. Who wants a stylus? You have to get them and put them away and you lose them. Yuck. Nobody wants a stylus. So let's not use a stylus. We're going to use the best pointing device in the world. We're going to use a pointing device that we're all born with. We're born with 10 of them. We're going to use our fingers. We're going to touch this with our fingers. And we have invented a new technology called multi-touch, which is phenomenal. It works like magic.
Steve Jobs understood the importance of letting everybody access technology by making it elegant and simple. And he didn't look for some profound new technology. He looked right underneath his nose. The answer was right there. The answer, the lean answer, was right in front of us. And I suggest the same thing to all of us. The answer to solving many of the problems that we have in our shop floors, our factories, our businesses, organizations is right underneath our nose. And if you're Greek like me, it's easier to find because you have more things underneath your nose because you got a big snoz. But that's another story. The bottom line is he saw the elegance of simplicity and not adding but subtracting. He subtracted the keys, right? Because he understood the power of flexibility. If you can't change things, you can't be flexible, right? So everything in our factory is on wheels. Everything, the conference table that I'm sitting at is on wheels. All of our chairs are on wheels. A lot of our machinery is on wheels because flexibility is king, because flexibility allows you to adapt to the needs of your customer. And Steve Jobs got that. And so what's important, not that you challenge whether or not Steve Jobs was a fabulous leader or not, but Steve Jobs was a fabulous lean thinker, and he got lean at a very, very high level. And I often look to Steve Jobs to say, what would Steve do? Because he understood elegance, simplicity, and to further illustrate that, my mom, who is 89 years old, can work an iPhone with no problem. That says something about Steve Jobs, that you take a person like me who's very techie, when you take young people who are even more techie, and you take my mom, 89 years old, and full access because of simplicity and elegance. That's Steve Jobs.
You know, it's interesting because this guy, this next video that you're going to talk about is a Steve Jobs to any engineer.
Oh yeah, this guy is crazy. I go to people, I say, when the lean guys came into my plant, we were award-winning plant. I'm going to get into that in a minute. But they took processes from 45 minutes to 5 minutes in 1 week, and I was the proclaimed expert in my industry. They blew me away. So I say to people, if we could take processes that you're doing right now and make them 9 times better, not increase the productivity by 10%, 20%, but make them 9 times better, most people look at me and say, Paul, you're crazy. Get out of here. You don't know what you're talking about. You're exaggerating everything else. But I'm going to show you a guy who's not an engineer, who's not an industrial designer, who did exactly that in a standardized industry that we're all familiar with. Lean beer. Here we go.
The best place to see Josh Springer's invention is at a ball game, but away from the action.
How simple is the technology?
It's very simple. It's very, very simple.
To fully appreciate it, you need to have 2 traits. 1, you hate standing in line. 2, you have an affinity for beer.
I got Bud Regular, I got Michelob Ultra.
I'm the kind of guy that won't wait in a beer line. I go to the event, I pay good money for the seats.
So just to prove to himself it could be done,
everybody looked at me like I was crazy.
He set out to end the beer line forever with a dispenser that pours the beer from the bottom up. The speed is something to behold. Springer says he holds an unofficial world record for pouring 56 beers in 1 minute. His videos on YouTube have gone viral.
Why do you think people get so excited seeing a beer filled up from the bottom?
That's a great question, but I still kind of giggle when I see it happen too. It just kind of captivates you.
So how do you fill a beer up from the bottom? Well, as you may have suspected, there's a hole in the bottom of the cup. But the key to making all of this work is with this, a simple magnet. So when you put the cup on here, the magnet is suspended, and then the liquid comes in, and then you just...
Right, the liquid comes in from around the holes or underneath the magnet.
Once the beer is filled, just grab the cup and the magnet forms a perfect seal with a tin ring embedded in the cup.
What do people do with the magnets when they're done with them?
They take them home and put them on their fridge.
Which leads to Springer's second great idea. Get advertisers to put their logos on the magnet.
Well, the cool thing is Josh saw this presentation that I used his thing, and we've been in contact back and forth. And I use him as a great lean thinker. I mean, think about it. Think how simple it is what he did. Most industrial engineers would overlook this whole concept. But he said, let's just totally think outside the box. Let's fill it from the bottom. Everyone goes, no, you can't do that. It doesn't work. Gravity. But Josh says, no. How can we use a simple magnet and make this happen? So the question I have for everyone is, what was it about Josh that allowed him to innovate at this level? Now, I say this because we have 700 products. In 15 years from my garage to 700 products, we develop 30, 40, 50 new products a year. We don't sell other people's products. We have our own products. It's incredible. And the reason we have this innovation is the same reason Josh has it. We've learned to see waste. When you see waste and then you simply fix what bugs you, that's what Josh did. He understood the value was in watching the game. The value-added activity was in watching high-performance athlete shoot the ball into the hoop. The value was not in walking and standing in a beer line. So he saw waste, and he fixed it by fixing what bugs him. That's all he did. And when we make lean this simple, with all due respect, because remember, I'm a simple-minded guy, so this is the way we do lean, we simply say, learn the 8 ways. Understand it all starts with when you make too much of something. Then you transport, you put it in inventory. There's a defect. Next thing you know, you got to over-process it. You got to use motion. The customer's waiting, and you're wasting your employee potential. When you see that waste occur everywhere, then you have the power, because of good training, to start fixing those things systematically on a daily basis in a kata, in a routine. That's what we do. Nobody works in our facility until we improve. Nobody works in our facility for 7 years until we 3S our entire facility. Sweep, sort, and standardize everything, make an improvement, then meet, teach, and train, educate our people. An hour and a half later after we arrive here, we start working. Astounding. Because we have the power now to see waste and fix what bugs us. So we spend a lot of money on the front end, and we get enormous rewards on the back end. That's what Josh did. And that's the way I look at it. So this next video, again, my whole first part of the talk is to solidify the concept that lean is very simple, and it's very easy to make it convoluted and difficult for the normal person like me, who's a D&C student, who struggled in high school, who has dyslexia, who is not quick on the uptake, it was not a brain surgeon, to get it. So I like to make things really simple. So whenever I see examples of simplicity played out, I gravitate to it. So all these videos, to be honest with you, they're not from me. All the lean listeners that are kind of digging this whole thing on lean is simple and fun have been sending me these to me. So this one came from one of the guys that heard me speak. I don't know where I was. And he said, Paul, have you seen this lean shooter? This guy's like one of the best shooters in the world. And watch what he does with shooting. You want to be great at shooting? Watch what this guy does.
Get some!
He did 8 rounds on 4 targets in 1.06. The 6 shots, a reload, and 6 shots in 2.9 seconds.
Yeah, bye.
Hi, I'm Jerry Mitchellak. I've been a professional shooter for over 35 years. Also a member of the Smith & Wesson professional shooting team for over 25 years. I have over 100 national and world titles. I'm also going to give you the value of over 3 million rounds of training time and over 40 years of practice. So when we go out to the range, I'll give you some ideas how to hold, how to execute, vision techniques. So let's go out to the range. Okay, we're out on the pistol range, and one thing you want to remember, if you want a performance that you can repeat, you have to use just the minimum it takes to make it happen. If you got to do a whole bunch of stuff, move your head, shrug your shoulders, hunch down, bend your knees, obviously you're not going to be able to do all that and try to remember it and have a good target. So what I'm doing as a professional is taking out everything that doesn't add to the performance. I'll go ahead and shoot 6 rounds on that center target. If you notice my face, I'm not going to have to do anything except to bring the pistol up to my face and make it happen. You notice I didn't have to squat, blink, shrug my shoulders, or duck my head, or turtle. Just bring whatever you have in your holster up to your dominant eye and make it happen. That was 6 rounds on target in the 1/75 of a second to fire 6 rounds of 9mm on that target there with an M&P pistol. And you notice I didn't have to do a whole lot to make it happen. And that's what's going to be important to you as you progress as a competitor. You don't have to do a whole lot to make it happen. I'm just taking away everything that doesn't contribute. And what you saw right there was pretty easy to do. So didn't have to really strain. Just keep the platform, whatever you have, a revolver, pistol, bring it to your dominant eye and make it happen.
Paul, as Mr. Panos said on YouTube, you are Greek. You are correct.
And certified, I always say certifiably crazy too. That's funny.
You have a wonderful day. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, George.